movie nerd, back with everything going on in the world of movies and TV. The last few years I've been recapping the movies turning 10, as the 2010s was the decade that I came of age. But this year we've got a special one. With the year of 2024 upon us, that means that the year hitting a decade old in question is none other than 2014. It was a huge year for me, both personally and professionally, as it's the year I officially started my YouTube journey. Not to mention being one of the all-time great movie years. This year revolutionized animation with the Lego Movie, action with John Wick and Edge of Tomorrow. The MCU hit 2 for 2 with Captain America: The Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy, and the award season was filled with bangers like Whiplash and Nightcrawler, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and more. It's such a good year that I had to do a full video for it. So without further ado, these are my top 10 favorite movies turning 10 in 2024. But first, some honorable mentions.
Okay, go! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! No! That is not happening right now! No!
Please, Charles, we need you to hope again.
Technique, and we wrestle in the evenings.
That's good. Get yourself prepared. Work hard.
Where did you tell Sandra you were from again?
John Wick. If Iron Man revolutionized the superhero genre, then John Wick did the same for the action genre. It's really impressive the effect this movie has had over the course of the last 10 years, both between its own sequels and subsequent universe it generated, as well as the effect on action filmmaking in general. Not to mention that when it comes to behind-the-scenes stories of how movies get made, this might be one of the best ones yet. Screenwriter Derek Kolstad, who'd been trying to get scripts made since the early 2000s, wrote a spec script about an aging assassin that eventually made its way to the head of Thunder Road Films, whose friend was serving as Keanu Reeves' talent agent. Reeves was looking for a new project after a string of flops, and liked the script so much that he passed it on to Chad Stahelski and David Leitch, his stunt doubles on The Matrix. And the rest, as they say, is history. The movie is very much influenced by a variety of different genres, with Reeves' titular Wick still mourning the death of his wife, being drawn back into the underground assassin world he left behind after some punks hijack his car and kill his dog.
Because he stole John Wick's car, sir, and, killed his dog.
The subsequent 2 hours are filled to the brim with violence, bloodshed, and choreography so skilled and original, it's been given a whole new name, Gun Fu. Even more than that, it brought Keanu Reeves back out of obscurity and let him have arguably the highest peak of his career he's ever had. In a year full of innovative action, this one led the charge, which more than earns it a spot on this list. The Grand Budapest Hotel. It's funny because I've made a big deal over the last couple of years how Wes Anderson has lost his touch, sinking into doing extravagant artistic live-action cartoons. This one's weird because it has all the trappings that make his style more contrived as time went on, and yet it feels like his most inventive. This is the one where Wes both peaked and was at his apex, because this has everything that people love about Wes Anderson movies, including me, while at the same time going a little over the top with the artistic flourishes. A madcap caper that also serves as a story within a story within a story, the movie follows Tony Revolori's lobby boy Zero as he narrates the events of his time working for Ray Fiennes' M. Gustav, as the two get caught up in a wealthy heiress's murder and subsequent scramble for a priceless painting. The movie seamlessly mixes elements of farce with a wickedly dry Wes flourish, not to mention the gorgeous production design and vast array of characters, populated by both Wes Anderson regulars and actors who had never worked for him before. Later Anderson efforts would try to replicate the magic he pulled off here, but would not succeed, as this was also the movie that finally led to his long-awaited Best Director and Picture nominations respectively. It's just good old-fashioned madcap, wacky fun. The Lego Movie. A lot of movies on this list are revolutionary in their own right, but this is the only movie that invented a whole new style of animation, almost a reinvention of stop motion. Phil Lord and Chris Miller took the animated world by storm with a whole new parody take on the classic hero's journey type adventure stories, and overload it with plenty of pop culture references and figures to really sell it. It's the movie that launched Chris Pratt prior to Guardians. It was the first movie to technically tackle the multiverse, and I mean, the movie just has everything. The Academy wouldn't even nominate it for Best Animated Feature. That's how cool this movie was. Everything is awesome indeed. Gone Girl, from the twisted mind of David Fincher for his 10th film, a pitch-black modern noir that serves as a twist on the typical marriage allegory. Adapted from Gillian Flynn's novel after he Jedi mind-tricked the rights away from Reese Witherspoon, this movie has everything a Fincher fan could love, as well as being a scathing indictment on the artifice of marriage, but also how it's never one-sided and how each party brings something different to the table. The interesting thing is that it serves as a cutoff for a lot of different people and things. It's the last Fincher movie made before he spent the next 5 years making Netflix shows. It was Affleck's big comeback pre the Batman DC nightmare, and it introduced the world to Rosamund Pike, who is an absolute revelation as Amy Elliott Dunn, one of the coldest and most sadistic yet cunning characters put to the screen in the last decade. This also being one of the few instances where the author wrote the screenplay and served as a script supervisor on the set, something that almost never happens. The final result is a modern-day pitch-black noir unlike one the world has ever seen, where the femme fatale sets up the male figure to fail. The male figure actually somehow outsmarts her, forcing her to take drastic action to bring him back under her influence. Like all of Fincher's other movies, it's dark, it's twisted, it's engrossing, and it's so damn entertaining. Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie is a large part of why this year is so special. Right as the Marvel machine was about to take Hollywood by storm, this movie proved you could still get away with some original storytelling and interesting characters in an already established franchise. James Gunn's spacefaring odyssey took the planet by storm and instantly became a classic, with old-fashioned flashy fun and action mixed with some surprisingly dark and depressing themes about isolation and looking for connection with others. It really set itself apart from the rest of the Marvel ilk for its poignant attention to detail, specifically with the 5 main characters. It was also the first Marvel movie that wasn't relying on its signature snappy humor, rather utilizing it both as a genuine reaction to things and as a mask for all the characters' deep insecurity and trauma. Much more than the dependence on the larger franchise, this movie proved to be a solid, fun, action-packed time with great characters, which is really all we want from our movies. Nightcrawler, another movie that, very similar to The Social Network, 100% predicted how behavior patterns of people would evolve in the 2010s. Only in this instance, what happens when someone with absolutely nothing to lose is given the keys to the castle. A sickening commentary on the kinds of media that draw the human eye and what it takes to portray a compelling story, cobbled together with one of the most chilling central characters of the 21st century. Lou Bloom is terrifying for the simple reason that he has absolutely nothing motivating him. No family, no romantic prospects. He's not even a regular everyday guy, or at least so we think. In the 10 years since this movie, we've unfortunately had a lot of Lou Blooms. But what makes Lou succeed where, say, someone like Travis Bickle may have failed? An absolute lack of conscience or empathy. His cold, dead eyes portray someone who is unwilling to let anything or anyone get in his way, with his goal being absolute ownership of whatever he sets his mind to. Like many other anti-heroes, he spouts a lot of rhetoric that can be misconstrued as informative and true. But make no mistake, it's simply another extension of his sociopathy as he defends his heinous actions over the course of the film. Gyllenhaal had already been on the rise before this movie, but this is the role that solidified it. And the fact that the real world has evolved to allow more people like Lou to succeed should tell you everything you need to know about why this movie is excellent. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the only sequel on this list, because it might very well be one of the best sequels of all time. I'll admit, the Planet of the Apes franchise is not one that's as near and dear to me as it is to some people, at least not until these movies came out. Set in a contemporary setting right as digital motion capture performances were starting to become absolute top tier, combined with Andy Serkis giving his 3rd groundbreaking mocap performance, this trilogy proved to be one of the best of the 2010s and possibly of all time. But this middle installment was The Dark Knight / Empire Strikes Back, showing both the apes and the humans at their best and their worst right in the initial stages of the viral outbreak, with their attempts at peaceful coexistence quickly giving way to war. With so many sequels cheaply trying to capture that initial magic, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes gets extra props for really treading new ground and evolving this series in an interesting and unexpected way. Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. It's fitting that about 2 years before superheroes took over the industry, we got an inside one's head character piece about a neurotic actor trying to move past his legacy of playing an iconic superhero, to try and put forth something that he views as being actually meaningful. Alejandro González Iñárritu took self-aware metatextuality and brought it to a new level here, simultaneously offering a completely different perspective on the idea of what a character piece can look like and how much more introspective it can get, as well as bringing back Michael Keaton. The irony being that the movie can also be read as a commentary on his own career, which I will admit I never thought of Michael Keaton in that light, as he was always the guy who played Beetlejuice and voiced Chick Hicks in Cars. I didn't see his Batman movies until years later. But with the different lens this movie provides with which to view stardom, it really allows for viewing audiences to see him in a whole new light, almost like a kaleidoscope of an actor's entire career. One of my favorite bits whenever I revisit this movie is the final shot, because a lot of people didn't get it, understandably so at first. But upon reconsideration, it becomes beautifully freeing once you understand that the whole movie is about Rickon needing to embrace his Birdman persona rather than fighting it, which in turn finally allows him to connect with his daughter. Interstellar, The negative reactions people have to this will forever mystify me. Post the Dark Knight trilogy, this was the first original Nolan movie I saw in theaters, and I finally understood how people felt when Inception came out 4 years earlier. Pure visual cinematic expression. It was coming off of the massive excitement generated by Gravity the previous year, and Nolan had his chance to tell a story about balancing love and familial sacrifice with preservation of a species and the moral and philosophical ramifications of that. Matthew McConaughey is not exactly the typical Nolan lead, but it helped that he was coming out of the McConaissance, and his warm southern energy mixed with a firm sense of command brings much needed gravitas here, as he guides both his crew and the audience throughout the cosmos as they travel through a black hole to search new galaxies for a new home for the human race. But the true star of this movie are the visuals, shot mostly practical as well in true Nolan fashion. Nolan did his homework by consulting with real theoretical physicists for the construction of the black hole Gargantua, with Hans Zimmer's haunting and poetic score underlining the characters' journeys through space and time. This is one of those movies that makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up every time I watch it, and it doesn't matter how many years out we get from it, this will always be one of my favorite cinematic experiences. Whiplash. It's ironic that on the year of this movie's 10th anniversary, Sundance Film Festival named it the #1 movie that debuted there for the last 30 years, which is kind of insane when you consider this is also the festival that debuted Reservoir Dogs. Nevertheless, Damien Chazelle's directorial debut has developed quite the legacy over the last decade, cementing iconic performances from Miles Teller and Academy Award-winning J.K. Simmons, as well as reintroducing jazz to the mainstream. Chazelle based it off his short film of the same name, focusing on a Juilliard drummer who finds himself in the jazz band run by one of the most vindictive, cruel conductors, frequently uses abusive tactics to elicit incredible performances from his musicians. To say this movie had an impact doesn't properly describe it, but I guess what's allowed this movie to remain so relevant throughout these last 10 years is the thing that is probably the most damning. The fact that these tactics actually kind of work, but at a massive price. As somebody who's endured not quite as extreme but similar tactics, I can say that there is a method to Terrence Fletcher's madness. The genius of this movie comes from something that also made Black Swan equally as great, attempting to find the balance between the pursuit of greatness and maintaining your composure, as Teller's Andrew Neiman is driven to the brink of insanity and beyond. In the end, Whiplash serves as both a cautionary tale and also a motivational tool to the right person, earning its spot as the #1 movie turning 10 and one of the best influential movies of the past decade. And that was it, people. Those are my top 10 favorite movies that turned 10 in 2024. What did you guys think? What movies did you guys love and remember from 2014? Whatever they are, leave them in the comments section below. Be sure to also like, subscribe, and follow us on all of our social media accounts, which are included in the description. And as always, people, 12 seasons at a short film, and watch more fucking movies.